May 24th, 2016, the company known for MMOs and MOBAs like StarCraft, Diablo, World of Warcraft and Heroes of the Storm releases an FPS game, with a slight twist. To my knowledge, Overwatch was one of the first bigger FPS games that incorporated individual abilities and passives to characters, and I may be wrong in saying this, but I do think that it inspired titles that have ironically aided in the decline of the game. With a base roster of 21 characters, there was a character for virtually every playstyle. Flankers, characters you can AFK on, shield characters, group healers, etc. And given the fairly sizable roster, there was virtually an infinite supply of fresh content and tech for the player base to explore and develop. Ultimate and ability combos and different team comps were being uploaded to YouTube constantly, exposing the game to a larger audience. It's no wonder it had an extremely strong release week. It was a refreshing title that brought something new to the table. Something I will say though is that early Overwatch was a game where a majority of the cast was extremely overpowered, which led to interesting interactions like this. Things like Scatter Arrow, 5-Man Res, Hook 1.0, Ledge Genji and Speed Boost Nano all contributed to Overwatch being a fun, chaotic mess. Over time though, patches were released to tone down some of these mechanics and abilities, which people weren't too happy about. As time went on, the meta began to take shape, and I'd say the defining point of where you could say the game shifted from a more casual friendly audience to a more competitive one was Season 3. People realised that some team comps were objectively stronger than others, and at the time the most prominent position was triple tank. Playing into triple tank was AIDS. It was extremely AIDS. You had Ryan for the shield, D.Va for constant damage and matrix, and Hog for picks, all backed up by an Ana who made the tanks pretty much immortal as long as she was protected well enough. As you might be able to imagine, this incentivized the community to start crying, and to be honest for fairly good reason. Playing in a meta like this was extremely limiting. 4 character slots were instantly filled by Ana and 3 tanks, one of the other 2 slots was usually another healer and 1 DPS, and if you wanted to play a tank apart from D.Va, Ryan or Hog, you'd probably get asked to swap, and good luck playing a second DPS. As you can probably tell, it's not enjoyable to play a character you don't want to, even if it means winning. And because people in all skill levels were playing triple tank, if you wanted a good shot at winning, you'd have to play it too. Naturally, this bred more toxicity in the community, but to be honest, that isn't really saying much as it is Overwatch.
You're the mercy who's resing one person and feel like they're really good. 126 hours is not good.
You fucking fucking in when the Genji's ulting behind, that makes no fucking sense.
Me and the Widow are the ones who are getting picked.
After 2 months, Blizzard nerfed some key characters involved in triple tank fairly hard. One thing to mention is that when Blizzard nerfs a character, they nerf a character. Examples of this being Hog, which was reverted but was still dead for a month, Orisa and Brig. The constant balance changes meant that a lot of characters felt weak, and when another character was buffed, it would seem extremely disproportionate and offset the balance of the game. Investing a lot of time into a character felt unrewarding, as you never knew when the meta would completely fuck them, or Blizzard would seemingly throw a dart at a board and nerf a character unprovoked. I'll expand on balance changes later on. January 10th, 2018. Overwatch League has its introductory season. Blizzard invested a lot of money into the Overwatch League, taking its first few steps into the esports scene. The numbers it was doing was pretty insane, and Blizzard had reportedly pumped a lot of money into it. Investments that had no prior involvement in the esports world were suddenly interested in Overwatch League. Because of this, it was only natural that Blizzard centered their balance patches around the top percentile of players. Dive meta was an extremely prevalent comp in the early days of Overwatch League, consisting of Winston, D.Va and 2 flankers. It was a high-paced comp that was enjoyable to watch, a polar opposite of the triple tank meta. But too much of one thing is never good, and players were beginning to get bored of the game.
Hey, let me tell you what I don't want to play against anymore. Winston, D.Va, too bad. Genji, Tracer.
Blizzard knew they had to do something to shake up the meta, as well as bring players back.
I am ready to prove myself. I will be your shield.
Crack. I am certain that the devs were doing crack when they released this character. You could ask a lot of players who played during the release of Brig, and I think they'd all agree that this is where the game truly began to decline. She did it all. Healing, damage, armor, CC, shield, complaints were very common to see. The meta she brought about wasn't fun to watch or play. Instead of flashy players, it was just a chip war between tanks and healers. Releasing such an unbalanced character into the meta would serve to accelerate the rate of the declining player base, but there was hope. Overwatch 2. The community was stirring up hype, but this came at a cost. Due to focus on Overwatch 2's development, content for Overwatch 1 would be slowed down, which is a pretty harsh change for a community that was used to 3 heroes per year and new maps every couple of months. In 2020, Echo was the sole character to be released, and balance patches were taking a very long time to come out. There are also 2 more factors that contributed to the decline of the game in 2020. COVID-19 and Valorant. Tournaments were called off until online arrangements could be made, but it couldn't replace the same feeling that made Overwatch League stand out. Valorant's beta release tempted a lot of players to switch over and try it out due to some similarities, and pro players like Sinatra left the Overwatch scene to play Valorant competitively. As the game isn't on Steam, we can't check Steam charts to see the player base count, but we can use views on videos and streams to somewhat gauge it. Viewership was declining on streams, and Overwatch content creators agreed that there isn't really much to upload right now.
So for us content creators who have been with Overwatch the whole time, we've kind of just been grasping at straws, you know, like...
Things have picked up in terms of balance changes, but with no sight of Overwatch 2, sexism scandals at Blizzard, sponsors pulling out Overwatch League, things don't look too good. And from what we've seen of Overwatch 2, I can only hope things are better on release day.
Yeah, this train car falls a bit of an overpass on this map, and Sparker was hoping to get some work done, but you're dealing with the stone cold killer Violet. He gets
Same
rid of
game.
both the enemies.